What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with my hands-on and first impressions video of the T-Mobile Revvl 7 Pro 5G. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is the T-Mobile Revvl 7 Pro 5G. And I'd like to thank T-Mobile for being kind enough for sending this phone out to me to cover here on the channel. I've covered quite a few different Revvl devices over the years, and it has been very exciting to see how this series of phones has evolved over that time. From my experience with Revvl devices, we're generally getting a lot of value here, and these phones tend to perform way better than you'd even expect for the price. Now, speaking of pricing and availability, this phone is available at both T-Mobile and Metro by T-Mobile, and you are going to find different deals and discounts at one over the other. But in general, this device has an MSRP of just $249. But for example, at Metro by T-Mobile, you can actually get this phone for free right now if you do port in or create a new line. So I do have a feeling that most people are not going to be paying the full MSRP for this device, but even if you do, even that is very affordable. But before we get too far into things here, with the Revvl 7 Pro 5G, let's see what all comes included in the box. So here's the box right here. You can see T-Mobile Revvl. On the side of the box, we do have the name of the phone. And then inside of the box, we're getting a SIM card removal tool. We're also getting a double-sided USB-C cable for charging and data transfer. And then we are getting quite a bit of literature here as well. You probably did notice though that there is no USB wall adapter included, which is a bit unfortunate. And also keep in mind that this phone can recharge at up to 25 watts. So to get that full recharging speed, you are going to have to pair it up with a charging adapter that is compatible with at least 25 watts. So just keep that in mind. Now with the T-Mobile Revvl 7 Pro 5G, we are getting a very large 6.78 inch display. Now to make things even better, this display does feature AMOLED technology, so we're getting very vibrant colors here, also excellent viewing angles as well, thanks to that. And then you can also see that, in general, the display is just very bright. So this phone has an excellent looking display on it. To make things even better, this display is 1080p, so everything is very crisp and clear here. And then we are getting a PPI of 393. So in general, they did a great job with kind of selecting and designing the display that would be incorporated in this device. And certainly when just kind of glancing at the display panel, it does appear to be very premium. Another nice bonus too is that this phone does have a 120Hz refresh rate, so you can actually toggle this here in the settings, and it is called the smooth display. So if you actually want 60Hz instead, which will give you better battery life, things certainly will be a lot more choppy here, but again, in exchange for that, battery will be a bit better. But if you do want to have that 120Hz enabled, just enable it right here, and then you will notice the difference. Things just appear to be a lot more premium and just look premium with that faster refresh rate. So in general, I'm a big fan of that feature. Now, up top here with this device, we are getting a 16 megapixel front-facing camera. And stay tuned for my full review video of this phone here on the channel, as I'll be showing you a variety of different photo and video samples from all the various cameras that we are getting here. But overall, I do appreciate how small the bezels are here, and then of course with that hole punch, we're almost getting a totally 100% display here on the front of the phone, so that is another nice thing. Now with this device, we are getting 256 gigabytes of storage, along with microSD card expansion. So 256 is definitely a very generous amount of storage. That's pretty much what I recommend people going for at this point in 2024, just because you may as well get a phone that is future-proofed. And as time has gone on, apps have been getting bigger and bigger. More and more people are downloading TV shows and movies to watch on the plane, for example. And just having a lot of internal space certainly is never a bad thing to have. So the fact that we're getting so much here certainly gives this phone a lot of additional value. But in addition to that, this phone is compatible with microSD card expansion, so if you do, for example, want to offload photos and videos onto that microSD card, then at least you do have that option so that you can make the most of the internal space that you're getting here with the device. Another surprising feature here with the Revvl 7 Pro 5G is that we are getting up to 15-watt wireless charging. So just having wireless charging is a great thing to see, but the fact that it can recharge up to 15 watts makes it even better and more useful. Now with this device, we are getting face unlock, and then we're also getting a side-mounted fingerprint sensor on the power button. So let's give that a try right now. And you can see it's very fast and responsive. Let's try that one more time. So that works really well, and I like too how the power button has a magenta accent color, kind of tying it in with the T-Mobile brand in general. Now on the back of the device, we are getting a quad camera setup, so we're getting a 50 megapixel main camera, a 5 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, a 2 megapixel macro camera for close-up images, and a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera to assist with portrait mode. So I do appreciate that even though the T-Mobile Revvl 7 Pro 5G is certainly a very affordable smartphone, we're still getting a lot of great bonus features and a lot of different cameras. And, compared to other phones in this price range, I feel like we're just getting a lot more features in general. Now here's how things look on the camera app on the device. This is with the main rear camera right now. Then from here, we can go over to 0.5 to get to the ultra wide angle camera. And then with that, we can fit a lot more content into a single frame here. Then here in the More tab, we can go over to the macro camera and get very close up and have things be in really good detail. So that's certainly a convenient feature when it does make sense. Now keep in mind though that even though the main camera is 50 megapixels, to actually take photos in 50 megapixels, you have to go back over to the More tab here, select 50M, and then from there you can actually capture photos in that full megapixel count. Now the reason why that's not the default is just because 50 megapixel images do take up a lot more space on your device, and for a lot of people it's not necessary. But the option is there for people who do want it. And you can see the results from this camera are pretty stunning in the sense that you can really zoom in very far and have things be in really good detail. So I really like that with the Revvl 7 Pro 5G, that even though this device is meant to be very entry level, we're still getting a lot of very premium features here. And I feel like it's going to be really hard to justify going for phones that are also in this price segment because generally they just seem to have a lot less features than what we're getting here with the Revvl 7 Pro 5G. Now if you're looking for portrait mode, that is called live focus, and I think this is the only bad thing about this device. It only supports portrait mode for the rear camera and not the front-facing camera. So you can see there's no option here in live focus to switch to the front-facing camera. And then when I do want to switch to the front camera, we have this button here. And then once I'm there, and then let's say I want to switch over to live focus, it'll then switch things over to the rear camera immediately. So there is no front-facing portrait mode here with the device, which is a bit unfortunate. Even the predecessor to this phone also lacked that too. So I really wish with Revvl devices, they would just finally give us portrait mode for the front-facing camera, because it's really the only feature that's lacking here. Now with the T-Mobile Revvl 7 Pro 5G, we are getting 8GB of RAM paired up with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 processor. So things are very fast here, very smooth. And honestly, the 6 Gen 1 feels a lot more premium than it technically even is. This phone feels like a flagship phone when navigating around the operating system, for example. It's just very fast and snappy, and again, just doesn't feel like a lower end device. So I'm very impressed with that. Now I did run a benchmark test using Geekbench 6, and I'll show you the scores in that test right now. But essentially, I got a single core score of 903 and a multi-core score of 2647. So what I recommend doing is running this test on your current device and then compare your scores to these scores to see how this phone does measure up with what you currently have. But again, overall, I've been very happy with it as far as performance goes. Of course, this is only my first impressions. I need to spend a lot more time with this device, but so far, things do seem really good. Even the process of just setting up the phone, which is something that tends to be a struggle with lower end devices, was very smooth. This phone was quick to set up. There was really no stutters or lags as was downloading all of the various apps and updating things. So again, I'm really a big fan of the processor that they did choose to put in this device here. I almost forgot to mention this too, but video recording is kind of strange, at least in the sense that we have options for 1080p or 2K, but there is no 4K video recording. And then with this device, we are getting a 5000 milliamp hour internal battery, along with up to 25 watt fast charging. The phone does run Android 14 out of the box, pretty much a stock version of Android. They really haven't added in too many bonus features, but if you're just looking for kind of the bare minimum when it comes to software, we're at least getting that here. And it does seem like the software is very well optimized, especially considering how smoothly this phone does run. Another cool thing too is that this phone does have NFC, so you can use it for tap and pay, using services such as Google Pay, for example. And then finally, another great thing that we have here is stereo audio. So when you're watching a video or listening to music, for example, you'll be getting audio out of both the main speaker on the bottom and also the earpiece as well, which is a nice premium thing to see, and that does provide a more immersive, richer audio listening experience. Typically for phones in this price range, you just don't find that feature, so I'm glad that's included here. Now taking a closer look at the hardware of the phone, you can see the back of the phone already has picked up quite a few smudges and fingerprints here, but it is a matte finish, so I do at least prefer that. So it does look kind of nice. I like too how it has kind of this wavy look to it. So depending on the angle that you're looking at the device, it could look slightly different potentially. But on the back of the phone, we have that quad camera setup along with the flash and T-Mobile logo. On the left side, we have just the slot for the micro SD card and SIM card. On the right side, we have volume up, volume down, and the power button, which doubles as the fingerprint sensor. Then up top here, we have the noise canceling microphone. And then on the bottom of the device, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and the speaker. So in general, I'm actually really impressed here with the T-Mobile Revvl 7 Pro 5G. It seems like one of the best devices we've seen yet in T-Mobile's Revvl series, and they're certainly building upon the really great reputation that this particular lineup from the brand is offering and has offered over the years. So again, I'm very happy with it. But thanks T-Mobile for sending this out to me. I'm certainly looking forward to making more videos here about the device, and of course making my full review video. So everybody who's watching, definitely stay tuned for that content. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.